What's up, y'all? It's your boy Scrams25 with Don't Question My Stupidity Story Time Edition. Before I really get started and before we jump into it, don't forget, like and subscribe, hit the follow button, share it, tell your friends about it. We got a lot more stories to come. This is just one at the start, beginning of the new year. But let's get into it. So a lot of you guys may not know, about a little this part about me, but I kind of went through some past life regression type of stuff. I followed that stuff for a long time, and it wound up leading me there during my spiritual journey. You know, going through all different religions and searching for the truth for many, many, many years. And one thing led to another, and more so, religion steered me towards my spirituality and understanding that I'm a spiritual being having a human existence such as you are. But I like looking into things like I found out about past regression lives and stories and stuff. And let me reference this other one site. It's Next Level Soul Podcast. He does a great job on there on YouTube. And also Dolores Cannon, she's very famous and she talks about things happening in the next life and all kinds of what to prepare, what it's really like. And one thing that I've come to understand about a lot of this stuff is now you can take it for what it's worth. It could be somebody setting up and telling a story and everybody reading the same script, which I don't believe because as adults over life and over time, you can determine if somebody's telling you or something the truth or if they're telling you some bull crap. And when you watch these stories and you understand and you listen to these people, and you have to think a lot of these stories, a lot of these people, some things happen to these people 30, 40, 50 years ago. And that long ago, we didn't have the recorders that we have now, the camcorders, the phones. Maybe there have been a few technology and we've all seen that now, but for the most part, those things didn't exist. So when somebody had those in the hospital experiences where on the table, we can go here and say, okay, you can't deny there's people that have been on the hospital table. Boom, they're working on you, trying to bring you back. All the signs say that you're dead, you're not here. And for X amount of time, and then that person leaves their body and goes on an experience. It comes back, and then all of a sudden, now they're back in their body. Boom, now they're back, and these doctors can verify that for X amount of time, the vital signs said this person was deceased, and people have come back and told a story or been in accidents and things of that matter. But we didn't have they weren't able to tell that story to the world many years ago. But now with technology, we're able to come together and people are able to tell their stories. And when you listen to their stories and you start pulling places from all kinds of different sources and all the stories it starts to make sense. When you talk about like the Bible and you say, okay, Enoch's mentioned in the Bible, Noah's son, and then but why isn't his book, the book of Enoch, taken out? And then when you read that, all the stuff that we've always wanted to wonder, okay, the book Bible talks about the angels coming down, the watchers and stuff. His book talks about it, but they don't want us to read it. And when you read it and find out what's going on, a lot of things start to make sense. But also at the same time, about the past life regressions. People are all their stories are similar in one specific way. When they experience and they say that they leave your body and then you go through the darkness. And the reason it resonates with me is because understanding I've been in tune with frequencies, for many years since I was a kid. First of all, I love music. That's one thing that kind of just puts me and saved my life many, many times. Many songs, many artists throughout my life. It's just something certain songs be attracted to me that has come to my life, and just I just love music. And and understanding these frequencies and stuff. And there's different realms, there's different dimensions that we go to that we cross before we get to what people consider heaven or higher levels. And in my understanding and what they're saying is you go through a darkness first. Now through that darkness part, that's where you have to face your fears. That sounds scary to me, a lot of us. But they said that's the lower vibration realm where those demons or things, there's real things that are there. And some of them will attack you, but they say you call out, you know, if you believe in Jesus, if you're a Christian, you're calling out on Jesus, you're calling out on God. If you're Muslim, you're calling out on Muhammad, Buddha. They say your guardian angel will be there to save you, but they say you don't. Time doesn't exist, but you sense. They say when you leave this physical body, you sense time all instantly. You hear everything, you sense everything, and I'll get into that with my story, my personal stuff. But they say you instantly sense everything, and it goes on to say they go on to talk about how a lot of them were like once they get to where they're going, they're met by someone, and these things you don't remember when you come back. Um, Certain things they don't remember, especially from the beginning. They say when you come down to earth from the beginning, you have to your memory's right, and you have a choice of reason why you came down here. And so when you go back through in the experience, they say that it's just pure love, unconditional love. It's not what we think, and what the part that used to never make sense to me growing up in the church is like, you die, you go to heaven or you go to hell. I personally was scared to go to hell because I was always told if I didn't worship God, or I didn't do this right, he was going to send me and burn me to hell. And the thing that didn't make sense is, okay, if you die, you was a bad person, you went to hell and you burned. Then you get brought up out of, because the Bible talks about the resurrection. So you go to hell and burn. Get brought out of resurrection to be judged, to be sent back to be burned. That doesn't make sense to me. And what doesn't make sense to us doesn't make sense to God. So, but as they go to explain, they said it's not what you think, especially Dolores Cannon. She explains it because she's in tune with the ancestors and stuff. You gotta watch her stuff. And they talk about when we leave here, you go back to where you became. And the Bible even says in Ecclesiastics, what happens to you when you die? Your body, your soul. Your body is your soul. You have a spirit, which is different. That's your energy. That's your life force. That's the gas. That's the battery in your car. The car is the shell until you put a battery in it, then it can go and you put gas. That's your life force. That goes back to the one that sent it to you. Versus when you just die, you go to here, you go to there. But just this goes into the grave, into Sheol, to hell, meaning the grave. And your spirit goes back to the one that sent it to you. So you ascend upwards into a journey. You've seen videos, you can see spirits leaving bodies. These cameras can catch things that naked eye couldn't see before. We're starting to see things um, and hear more stories, more proof of all kinds of stuff. The government's coming out and admitted that not just that aliens are real, but also that non-human entities, meaning like Bigfoot and everything that we always thought of, all this stuff is real. These cryptids that are able to come in and out of our dimensions. A lot of y'all don't pay attention to that stuff. And you get spooked out when you wonder why you walk downstairs and your hair on the back of your neck is standing up, or when you close your eyes and you're in the shower and you feel like somebody's staring at you. That's because somebody really is staring at you. I ain't trying to freak you out, but that's the reality of life that we live in. We're in between dimensions. If you sit here and you talk about and you know third dimension, then that means there's a second dimension. That means there's a first dimension. And those are the lower dimensions. That means there's a fourth, fifth, and so on. You can't deny this stuff, yo. You talk about it. You talk about back in the day when we was growing up. Here's the whole thing. That vibe, you can feel the vibe. You can feel it. Now we talk about vibe, and then understand now we on a vibe. Now we're really on a wave. People are talking about their consciousness all over. You go to the store, people, oh, I don't like that number I just saw on register. Numbers are everywhere. The universe is based on numbers. Once you start waking up and understanding what's going on, you look at things different. But I say that to talk about my stories. Now, in my story, I keep having last night I had it again. There's certain things that happened to me throughout my life. I believe, I understand two past lives that I had. Remember dying twice. I remember those two. The first one I remember, I don't know which chronological order it was in. Um, but I believe one of them has to do with me. I died in Vietnam in a helicopter crash. Um, I went through a stage in my life for a few years back in the 70s where I wasn't old enough to know about Vietnam like that, even though it was all on TVs, but to experience it, to have nightmares the way that I did. Um, I remember like used to hear whenever it used to come on TV, used to be on CBS or the news, you'll always see the visions of the helicopters and the people in the jungles and stuff running around and the bombs and stuff. That stuff used to terrify me. I used to run and hide and have nightmares. And I remember waking up sweating all the time for years. And then it got so bad, it was just one song that used to be out in the 80s. It was called 19. It was about the young soldiers and stuff that went to Vietnam and they died. And a lot of them were, it was one specific kid or person. He was 19 years old. And for some, like in the beginning of that song, it used to come on. It was like ooh, ooh, the helicopter sounds, ooh, 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 and then talking that Walter Cronkite voice about Vietnam or whatever. That song, that whenever that song came on, it shook me to the core. And I'll never forget one night my mom went out and dropped me off at a girlfriend's house to get, the babysit for us. And, they had, I slept in the living room on a blow up mattress and that song came on. It's funny because I was telling my daughter last night, she got her first clock radio. She wanted to listen to the radio as she slept. I said, I wouldn't do that if I was you. Too many times I was woken up back in the day with Freddy Krueger commercials in the middle of the night and stuff like that. Freak you out. But anyway, that song came on and I couldn't move to even want to turn it off because I didn't know where the radio was and stuff. I was terrified, but I went through that stage for a few years. Um, how that song moved me, and then all of a sudden it just kind of went away as I got older. And then I used to have these other nightmares about. I remember it was me and my child was standing on the beach, and it feels older, like olden times, like BC type stuff where he was standing on the beach and it was like a tidal wave just came up over top of the out of nowhere and we were just standing there holding hands and I remember just boom and it just wiped us out and I've had that dream many years many times every now and then and then come to find out they say you're not supposed to even remember your dreams. If you remember your dreams it was a message or something, but I believe like I'm right now, I'm terrified of heights. If y'all remember Cherry Hill Mall or any mall, I can't go to like near the railing. I can't walk near the railing because if my sight sees over top of on the floor, I get vertigo really bad. So even going up and down the escalators, always even being in elevators, especially non-glass elevator doors, I can't do it. I don't go in high rises. I can't go to the Empire States Building, all that. No way. I can't even look at that stuff on video or even on the phone, I get vertigo looking like, you know, I can't do it. So, that's where I understand, that crash and being in Vietnam is probably a reason why I'm scared of heights. Because I've never, for some reason I love roller coasters. I like even being on the front. But it's the fact is I know I'm strapped in for some strange reason. I know it'll be over quick. I like that thrill, that rush, but I don't like heights. But I've been on King the Car, front seat, all kinds of stuff. Free fall, I love that. But planes and all that other stuff can't do it. But it leads me to this other crazy dream that I've always had for years. And now it came back again last night. But now what's going on in this world, it kind of makes it weird, like knowing what I know now. But I used to always have this dream. Like I grew up in Sicklerville, but it always brings me to this field. I used to live at 10 Lennox Court. So there was a in between 10 Lennox Court and the other court next to it, there's this field, the green boxes we used to hang out. But I remember it always brings me to that field. And then I'm looking up in the sky and in the distance, and all I see is planes, all kinds of airplanes and spacecrafts, but the planes are so vivid and it just starts slowly. It's like you see like US and then you see like NASA. And I remember we all got scared because you're like, this stuff is just coming out of nowhere. And then you see one more than plane. Next thing you know, you start seeing spaceships coming in and shooting at the airplanes. And like all I remember seeing like in the skies, and this I remember having this since I was a kid, is the airplanes and the jet planes and stuff fighting in the air. And it came back again. But here's a twist. Now all of a sudden, I remember feeling. If you ever looked on Google Earth and how you move the ball and it moves the Earth and move, but all you see the darkness around it, it was sort of similar like that. But as the same time as I'm up in the air, or it feels like all I see is objects like very vivid colors, like the colors of the purples and the blues and like streaks and balls and stuff. But it was like I was over top of the earth, but I was hovering like in space. But I remember feeling like I was floating, but scared because I felt like I couldn't. My feet weren't on the ground. I wasn't used to being there. Like it felt like I was, still floating how you would think if you're in space and being scared of heights. I felt that in my dream along with this. It went from seeing the planes, the UFOs and everything fighting and flying in the skies and all kind. It was like terrifying. It wasn't like now I'm looking in the skies all the time for UFOs. I didn't see the planes. I live near the airport, so I see planes 24/7. How they change the routes and seeing these when people recording the stuff. I seen the planes. Me and my wife and my kids even seen it there where they're just sitting there frozen. And my daughter even saw that and she was like, "Dad, look, that close to us." Excuse me. But these are the things that stuff that y'all don't know that I go through and that's on my mind. And many of y'all probably experience weird stuff like this. But if anybody knows about past regression or does it, let me know. Hit me in the comments. Hit me in my inbox. Let me know. I'd really love to do a real one and find out more about it. But just knowing this type of these things, it helped me. It's helping me in my spiritual growth. It's tough. Believe me, it's tough because when you search and you take the word religion, meaning to rely on something other than oneself. A lot of us were introducing the thing that always kept wondering, like if I was lived over in Saudi Arabia or somewhere over another country, I would truly believe that Muslim, Islam is the way versus me being over here in America and in Christianity and knowing about how people were forced, our religion was forced upon us. Because I'm like, wait a minute, there's scrolls and there's proof of not so much as religion, but spirituality, spiritual ways and practices that was on this planet before the word religion was even invented. So all that stuff starts coming into mind. So to me, religion is elementary. And I don't mean that in no disrespectful way to any scholars. I'm not a scholar. I'm just a regular person that has a different understanding. And I'll never forget it was on my 40th birthday. I started playing around and coming to this consciousness stuff 10 years ago. And I did that experiment where you're pressing on your third eye and you be careful. Be careful what you do and be careful what you wish for. I'm not saying that it's something bad, but I never forget from my 40th birthday, when I put my feet on the floor, I had like my equilibrium was off for like 3 days. Like I couldn't even walk. I was just all messed up. And I just started seeing life and seeing things and people from different from that point on. Like I didn't believe the bullshit anymore. The veil came off, like for real, for real. You start looking at things different. You start searching for things different. So the things that I went through, you know, on my spiritual journey from growing up in the church, being told to go, then given the opportunity, if you get to a certain age, you don't have to go anymore. And then from there was, just you search because from one thing they also spoke in those past regressions on those podcasts and when Dolores Cannon speaks about um, we all, if you want to know like the reason why you come to Earth, why you come down here in specific times, why you come down here, one thing we all have in common. When you come here, you all searching for love. Everybody wants to be loved. You got people that didn't find love, and some of them they probably took, unalive themselves, unfortunately. Some people don't believe anymore in a higher being because I believe that they didn't find the right answer or somebody didn't show them the right love or they didn't have that chance just yet, and they will. But we all are searching for love and through however some people harm themselves, some people give up their bodies in search of that, or for whatever reason, whatever way people use themselves or use this shell to search for love. We all find we get hurt by even the closest ones that you think that it should love you the most. We all come, even in the Bible tells about in the last days, your children, your wives, your husbands, everybody's going to come at you. And those are the people that you think you love the most and that love you the most. But it's different. It's totally different. Um, I don't want to lose my train of thought here because, I look at that word love different now with everybody you meet. Oh, I love you. I even caught myself telling a customer service person one time about to hang up. Oh, I love you. Nah, you know, that word is just thrown around. Yeah, I love you. I love you. I love you. And I mean that when I tell people that I know I love them, I know which ones I do love y'all and I care about you. I use the word care more so than just the word love because to me, when I care about you, I'm showing you my ways and actions because I'm doing stuff for you, because I speak to you, because you don't have to speak to people and people don't have to speak to me. That's why I'm a little bit different. Like I really when I like your pictures on Facebook, my friends, when I hit y'all up, I really do appreciate y'all because you have no idea. Like I understand how this world works. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you don't have to. You can't force somebody to say a word. You don't have to associate with me. You don't have to like me. You don't have to know me. Just because you know me, you don't have to deal with me. You have people, your loved ones. Some people in people's families cut each other off. You just love them from a distance. It's your choice. But you choose to say hi to me. You choose to interact with me. So from my heart, that means a lot to me because I'm a spiritual being connecting back with you guys. And I understand that. So whenever I come in contact with somebody or anybody that I deal with, I really love y'all. I understand. Now there's times where I bumped into bad spirits. You know, I have spirits that haunt me, haunted me all my life and know my weaknesses and attack me in certain ways that you guys, some of you may know, but some of you don't know. Um, so you have to be careful. Just know that the journey that you're on your spiritual, you're never alone. You're never alone. A lot of times I got to keep reminding myself. That little tickle in your head. Sometimes it feels like you smacking yourself, or you feel like somebody's. That's your angel. That's your guardian angel letting you know that you're still there. And a lot of times when your consciousness, when you're doing something wrong, you don't turn. Listen, they're telling you. Also, you learn from your old mistakes, from other people's mistakes. It ain't hard. We make it hard. But I just want to let y'all know a little bit about something about me, these things that I'm going through. Again, if somebody out there is really into that stuff and does the past life regressions, I would love to be a patient. Of course, if you can start for free, um, you know, to get more into it. I have a lot of stories to tell, a lot of different things, spiritual journeys. Oh my goodness. How about a time where I'm on a bus and I'm going through I'm just feel like I'm searching for God. I get off the bus and there's a church right there. I go inside to the church and I talk to the person at the door. They told me, come back tonight and we're going to baptize you that fast. And the funny thing about it was my brother's my best friend who was my brother, his sisters was already attending that church at the time, and they got mad at me like, how he just coming off the street and they gonna baptize him? And I've been a member of this church for two years. Yeah, that was Bethany Baptist Church, and it's in Lindenwold, New Jersey. When they were in Stratford, they baptized me, or not. I don't. I believe in Stratford, but when you were on the White Horse Pike before. And that was weird because when I went away and did 5 years, I never knew they built the new church, but I guess they made me a member of that church that night. And I'll never forget. I get a phone call from my uncle Michael, and he's like, "Yo, somebody from Bethany Baptist Church calling here looking for you," because my grandma's phone number was still listed as my emergency contact. And he said they told me that you have been paying your tithes for 5 years. What's crazy about that is that not the fact that they said we would like to see you, even that they probably did say that, but to mention the fact that I have been paying them for 5 years. That's why I can't do the church thing. You can open the Bible and read it yourself if that's what you choose to believe, because no matter if you read it yourself or whatever, you're going to get if somebody's standing up there trying to tell you what it says. How are you going to get that meaning? That means meaning is for him. You open it and you get your own interpretation, your own meaning, but you got to read it yourself and read it over and over and over. I used to study out of 3 different Bibles at the same time, just because all I saw was that people saying, "Oh, that's not the right Bible." It's not. So I studied out of 3 different ones, and I read the Quran. So I was sitting there searching. I was going. I remember when we were incarcerated, I used to lead Bible study. A lot of people know me on 5 North A as a guy who led the Bible studies and stuff. I never forget when I started, and I used to sit all day long just reading, 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 studying, and it got to the point where A fella came in, his name was Daniel, and uh it was, it was weird to meet people like that, not weird, but people that you read about on the news and knowing the things that they did, but meeting them in there is totally different than what the papers and stuff say people did. That was a cool brother. And we used to have Bible study all the time. And he started helping me. And it was strange how he came into our life and just disappeared. His name was Daniel. And but the knowledge that he had, and we used to have Bible study, and I would ask, "You remember that verse such and such?" And he would help me. He would say, "Yeah, it's between." Say, "Where is it?" I would say, "Where is that?" He says, "Between Genesis and Revelations." So I had to go in and find it. Sure enough, I found it. Sure enough, I found it. Um, those days, those things, and then like a lot of the Muslim brothers used to come and talk to me, and we would resolve a lot of issues and stuff on the tears, on the strength, because of how I carry myself. You know, and because I was searching, and also it was weird because a lot of Muslims don't believe that Jesus Christ is God. So we had something similar because that's what I understood when I read in the Bible. I found several different verses where Jesus Christ says, or even the Bible's even said that he says, "I'm not God." That there was someone above me. I was sitting. I'm at the right hand side. How are you going to be at the right hand side and you're the same? Things don't add up, and there's nothing wrong with understanding, the truth. Jesus is a person. Jesus is an entity. Yes, he was created by the same entity, same Father as you and I. And he also wants me to tell you this: if you want to know how to love God, love him like you would your mother or your father. But I also have this message too. A lot of us didn't have a father. There's a story about a woman, and God said to her, love me like you will love your father. And that just goes to show there's a special relationship between fathers and daughters. Should be. I know mine's is. I love that little one. And my son also, her twin. But that's my ride or die. It's my mini me. But she says, I never had a father. And God says, I know. So that's why he loves her and base stuff on her. He understands. You might not have had a mother to know what it's like to be loved by one. You even had one, but they didn't love you the way that you should have been. God is unconditional love, and unconditional love is this: when you have a child, or even if you don't have a child, you may even have a pet or something that you love. And no matter what that person does, no matter what that person says, you're always going to forgive them and love them just because of who they are, because you have unconditional love. Like a dog, when you sometimes you have to spank your dog or yell at the dog, and the dog goes into his cage or whatever, and he comes back and he acts like you haven't seen you in 50 years, and you just love him. Unconditional love. That's how God's love is. Now here's the other part, other example of conditional love. Hey, if you're in a relationship, I'll give you this if you do that for me. Or you mean I'd do that more if you were nicer to me. Or if you go downstairs and get me something, then maybe I'll you. That's conditions. Relationships based on conditions. Men don't say stuff like that. And I'm not pointing fingers, but it is what it is. But that's an example of unconditional love. Well, no matter what you do down here, when you go back home, they're going to welcome you with open arms. They're going to love you no matter what. But you have to learn your lesson when you came down here. There's a lesson, or you're going to come back. You created bad karma, and you're going to come back, because we don't live in a solar system. We live in a soul system. You understand me? Repeat that. We don't live in a solar system. We live in a soul system. And for 50 years of my life, I never had to, nobody ever tell me or had to explain to me where the moon went. Why is it after 50 years, I can come out and we talk about how big it looks around the corner, and you go, how big it looks when you step out the house, you go 2 feet around the corner and it looks tiny again. We talk about that stuff all the time. We talk about it's a full moon. The people is acting crazy. It's the full moon or the tides. You know, I never had a conversation with clients where they say, yo, where'd the moon go? Where's the moon? Or the moon is in its, something ain't right. because it was going for a while and I was searching. So that leads me to understand there's a lot going on in this world. But I just want to make this video. It wasn't going to be short and sweet. It's just to start to let you know, we're going to get back into this talking because, boy, I got mad stories for y'all, more stuff. I ain't even get to talk about, you know what? I'm not even going to talk about the Eagles on this, but y'all let me down. You hurt me bad. I believe y'all not even, you don't even go to the playoffs because it's just going to hurt. Nah, yeah, go. But if you ain't, anyway, thank you for coming on to my journey. Again, go check out it's Next Level Soul Podcast. Next Level Soul Podcast. And don't forget, check out Dolores Cannon, her stuff, the stuff that people talk about. It'll shake you to your soul, maybe answer some questions that you've been wondering. Also, people that are losing loved ones and stuff out there know that they're in a better place. They went back to where people truly love them and they are loved and everybody's waiting for you to come back. And all of us, we all have a time and a place. Some of us aren't going to go for a while because we got a mission and y'all know who y'all are. You can feel it. You watching all these movies, Avengers and all that other stuff. A lot of y'all out here probably possess that stuff. There's a lot of David Banners running around out here. I hope you get to find that peace. And with that, you guys have a great day. And see you around.